So I have to admit that my rate of podcasting has not been at the same rate the last little bit. The same with many of my other shows that I've got going on, and the reason is that um, it's because I'm learning Italian at this moment, and it takes a little bit of time. I'm using the app Duolingo, and it just takes some of my time, keeps me sort of occupied. But the question is why would I learn another language this part and this old or this late in my life? And I could justify it to sort of say this is a performance advantage. So, one of the sort of arguments that I have in my head is that, hey, if I learn a couple more languages, it sort of gives me opportunities to teach at different places. Um, but I would really want to push back against the performance aspects of all of life. And I think that there's just sometimes there's good things that you can do that don't necessarily have to have a logic to them. Um, I think about the thing of just making a cake, for example, right? Like it takes work. Yeah, and there's some pleasure in it, right? There's probably lots of pleasure in it, but there's very little the sort of outcome of that this is going to be an advantage for me in the long run. And that's what I really want to push back all the time with the sort of logic of opportunities and logic of, hey, we always have to justify performance. The things that we do are performance oriented. And this is particularly strong in the culture of the academic community, as sort of pretty strange of that might sound. But I think about, you know, the the idea behind what we should be doing is just doing discovery and doing things for the sheer pleasure of the sort of pain of it. I know that sounds really strange, but it's not easy learning another language. It's really embarrassing. The other day, I said something completely inappropriate when I ordered bread. Um, and for the Italians out there, I was ordering pane. Um, and you can, there's similarities to other words. And it's just, it's ironic because I'm sort of put in this position of why do I do things in life? I think about that a lot. Is why is it that I actually do things? Is it because of the performance of it? Is it because that there's this sort of long term objective that I have? Or is it because it's a beautiful thing to do? It's a nice language. It's kind of nice to learn languages. Will I ever be able to use this language in many settings? Probably realistically, in the long run, probably not. It's probably a pretty useless skill. And that's actually what I was thinking years ago. This is what ended up happening to me. Why I actually sort of see the beauty of learning language, the beauty in art, is that I was a very, very devoted, sort of efficiency seeking person for, particularly in high school, where I was looking for the easiest way to do things. So it was beautiful to learn a new language. I had the opportunity to learn French, but um, I sort of didn't take it seriously. It wasn't sort of in the moment because I wasn't justifying in my head that this was something beautiful to have. And so now I don't necessarily speak French at all. And I think I understand why. I think I grew up in a very immigrant oriented house. And that, so my dad was a Polish immigrant and we worked, right? And that was the story. It was just, we just worked, and anything that was sort of frivolous outside of that was sort of not, wasn't sort of considered the sort of best thing. Now, I also want to point out that my dad spoke Polish when he was very young, and he had to learn English. And I think at that time, um, it was the 1940s and 1950s that learning new things like that was not necessarily considered a good thing. Right? Like there's many stories my dad used to sort of mention, that the Polish people in his community, which is a really small community, really got no credit, right? And so there was lots of stigma associated with that. And I could see how learning a language, something like French or something like Italian, could come across as very intimidating, um, and not necessarily the best thing to actually do. So, from my point of view, and as I've probably have mentioned this many times before, I was always kind of a really good kid. Um, it wasn't the rest of my siblings. They're sort of they're amazing people and all grown up and all that kind of stuff. But, they sort of did the whole rebellion thing and left home early, and the sort of typical thing that you would have seen in the 1970s bad TV movie thing. Um, but for me, I just never really had that, and I've always had a bit of a sort of rebellious streak in me. That's the way I sort of rebel, is doing things like this, where it's doing something that perhaps my parents would never do, perhaps many people would never do. And, even still, lots of people would not even do this unless it was for necessity. So I think, isn't it just a beautiful thing? It's just an amazing thing to learn a new language, to explore the world, even if I never travel and do anything. Um, Although right now, I have to admit, I am in Italy, so you hear probably different noises in the background. But, even if I didn't do stuff like this, learning a new language is kind of beautiful. It is kind of nice. And yes, there might be slight performance advantages. It gives me a 5% jump up on the competition and all that kind of crazy nonsense talk. But it's just beautiful. It's just fun. It's just a curiosity. It's just, you do it just because you're alive. Yesterday, I had the opportunity because we are in Italy. We went into a church, and there was some martyrs that were in there, and the martyrs are an open tomb. You see inside, and made me reflect. I actually had a little bit weird nightmares, but it makes you reflect on his life. Disappears very quickly, and we'll never get a chance to do it again. Well, why not pursue it? Why not get after it? Why not do some really interesting things just for the hell of it? And whatever it is, learning a new language, learning how to do a new sport, learning, creating a new business, anything. Yeah, all of those things are remarkable opportunities that we have that we can pursue and try and see. And yeah, the vast majority of them, you're not going to do well. The statistics on learning or finishing Duolingo is pathetic. Majority of people, 99.9%, never finish. But it's the fact that you try, the fact that you pursue, the fact that you're interested makes life interesting. And I think we should do more of that. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.